All right. Well, welcome back. So there's still some stuff that's kind of bothering me. Here's one of them right here. I'm going to go through this pretty cut and dry. Here's the claim. I push COVID-19 conspiracy theories and indoctrinated students. As you can see here just in the screen, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel and good old John Fetaplace. Not a fan. So there's that. Then you got Laura Bielfeldt, which is the complainant in this whole thing, filed that. Ridiculous. So you can see here, she's saying, "Oh, I'm pushing these hoax theories and all this stuff." Racine Journal Times, they're parodying a lot of this stuff there. You get into the right side, you can see with like ABC there. You get this Ariel Renee. And again, some more information, just ridiculous. So let's actually look into what if there's any credibility, if there's any clout behind their claim that these people make. Scott Williams, who is again a pathetic journalist, I'll just say that, pathetic excuse for one, has really been vehemently against me from the Racine Journal Times. Again, I'm not going to go through and read all that stuff on the screen. You guys can do it if you want to pause the video. And this is kind of cut up from some of his article anyways, just the stuff talking about this particular issue. And, it's what he's saying. He actually went and filed an open records request digging into hundreds of pages of documents. You can see the Q photo there. That was something he tried to, blast big on top of this article when you go to it, it's just ridiculous. And so where is he getting this information from? Right. Okay. Well, let's get into that. So as you scroll down, he later in his article, he starts blabbing on. He's going into all these different links, clicking on anything and everything, and just trying to blast me, discredit me, and how I'm just pushing this stuff down these kids' throats, right? Just ramming it down their throats. They gotta believe that COVID-19 is a hoax, it's fake, and right, that's my goal. Completely 100% inaccurate. If you've watched my previous video I put out here about the Holocaust, I am trying to get students to think for themselves. That is me as an educator. Very simple. And so what better way to do it, to introduce this at the beginning of the year with some junior level students in modern world history. So I want to read here the screen. This is part of the investigative report on this particular topic. And so the complaint itself did not allege any specific allegations related to the coronavirus pandemic, but it came up in my investigatory interview with the complainant, which was Laura Bielfeldt, and a few students mentioned it to me in the context of Mr. Taff relaying his own personal opinions about certain topics. This is the attorney, Savion Grinnell, that the Burlington High School District hired to do this with me, or whatever. So again, for instance, at least one student said Mr. Taft described masks as political muzzles. That is untrue. I know exactly what student that is. Mr. Fetaplace. Raise your children right. Mr. Taft denied making that statement, and no other student corroborated that allegation. Again, not true. Allegedly, Mr. Taft complained about having to wear masks early on in the school year. Yeah, I did. And that was eventually worked out, and I can get into that if need be. Mr. Taft did mention he had discussed particular conspiracy theories surrounding the coronavirus with students, but it was in the context of a lesson. And I'm now going to get into, and I'm not going to read the rest. Yeah, what was that lesson? A lot of people really want to know. Did I push these coronavirus conspiracy theories? Well, you tell me. Let's look at the evidence. So before I actually pull up my Google Classroom stuff here, this is, again, it was in Fox 6 News along the way, because Scott Williams is a complete, I'm not going to say I'll be nice, just not a nice individual. Myself and my lawyer were kind of forced to put out these statements as Scott Williams just started going off the deep end, digging into all this crap before the investigation could continue that the school district started. So again, I can read that stuff. Here's my statement. Again, I had to defend myself for no reason. While Jeff Taff continues to respect that the Burlington School District has an investigation to conduct, he refuses to sit by as half-truths and outright lies are peddled as fact. Please keep in mind, Jeff teaches modern American history and modern world history classes. To ignore the social issues that we all face every day would be shirking his responsibility to his high school students. And so these are these two allegations that we feel we needed to come out and respond to. I'm reading this. As to the most recent allegations, first, Jeff has never promoted COVID-19 conspiracy theories, but rather tasked students with researching existing theories so the students could learn critical thinking. Critical thinking. The very assignment of finding information in support of and in opposition to speaks of balance and process and not promotion. In most circles, that would be construed as education and learning and critical thinking. The topic was used to focus on the skill of using evidence to support or debunk a claim. Jeff provided the information on his Google Classroom page, which I'll show you here shortly, for further student viewing, given that the virtual learning days are then followed by in-person school days when the students' findings were discussed. I know it was goofy because of COVID this year. It's basically one day in school, in person. The next day it was like a virtual day. They kind of have like a day off, and they come back again, and it'd be in school. So it's kind of goofy. Anyways, there's a second one. As per the allegation that Jeff encouraged students to ignore face mask requirements, the same is patently false. Again, there are some emails that were sent into the district regarding this. Kind of a side note early on, like this completely way wrong. I'll just read it here. The fact the accusation was reported from an anonymous email, love it when people don't put their name behind it. Real cloak there, only adds to the suspect nature of the complaint. The irony with the reporting that Jeff posted on the screen of his classroom was that the posting was in fact an excerpt from Governor Evers' July 2020 mask mandate executive order. And Jeff, I utilized the executive order as instructional material and to point out that at times my mask may be down while teaching, and that the same was permitted by exemption 3A, number 6, to that order. I even asked every student if they actually read it. Of probably 60 to 70 students, 2 raised their hand. One said they did, the other one said, well, my mom kind of read some of it to me. That's it. They had no idea about these things. Anyway, when the Burlington School District adopted a more stringent mask policy, I complied. And so at no time did I encourage students to ignore or disregard the face mask requirements. I used my own situation to educate and promote critical thinking. We should demand that our educators promote critical thinking, which is what I try to do. It's who I am as a teacher. In each and every allegation, it's clear that I promoted critical thinking on modern political topics. Again, the cherry-picking stuff that's Scott Williams' BS that he's trying to lead you down to prove that I'm like, Satan or something. Good Lord. So here is kind of a screenshot of my Google Classroom for this particular class. You can see at the beginning of the year here, these are just a couple of the assignments. The first one, it's kind of weird because of the in school, out of school, virtual days, in person, blah, 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 whatever, learning. But you can kind of see, I'm going to break this down here. The coronavirus diaries assignment, that was kind of a first introduction back into school, and, get the students to know each other, who their classmates are. Next one, I call it your own coronavirus story. And then the coronavirus conspiracy theories. This took place over the course of about 2 weeks, 4 class periods, some classes out of school, or at home, virtual learning, whatever you want to call it. So here's the first one, right? Very simple. There I use this New York Times, which is a very left liberal leaning magazine. For those of you keeping track, I says here, click on the upfront link below. Now you're not going to see that in the screen. I'm going to just kind of, go down to show the rest of it. That's actually where the link was. Again, you can see that there. And so whatever, I had them go in, they read this article. I took a simple little quiz about it, and I could gauge their comprehension of their understanding on it. And if students seem to like to redo that, cool, I did it. Most of them did just fine and passed. But again, you can read this stuff here, right? We started this lesson about how COVID-19 has impacted teens' lives throughout the United States on the first in-class day. Then they were to do this for a virtual assignment and then come back to school for in-person learning, where we would then I basically had them say, okay, you read the article. I want you to make up your own story. This article focused on 5 different students' lives and how they were impacted. And I wanted them to create their own. Some of them chose to share them in class or parts of it. Some did not. I didn't make it mandatory. Just, book up some class time and kind of got to Um, and anyways, just introduce each other and kind of get to know who's who. And so again, you can read this here. I had some students, most of them just turn it in, in a typed paragraph, Google Docs. A couple students did a video, really cool, shared that with me. Some even created like a PowerPoint slide, Google slide that was set up just like one of the pages was in this magazine. Really good idea. A student brought that up, and I thought that was awesome, so I added that one in there, kind of like the day later. But anyways, and so yeah, attach it, whatever, there it is. And so that's what we did. Then kind of want to get into something that was a little bit out there maybe, but whatever. I don't really shy away from that sort of stuff, clearly. And so you can see here that this learning objective is to examine various coronavirus conspiracy theories. Here is my task. Please tell me how I'm pushing coronavirus conspiracy theories down their throats. I'm confused. Clearly, so are they. Good Lord. Task: after investigating and fact-checking 2 different conspiracy theories. And I'm going to show you here, I'm going to kind of jump down these bunch of resources that I attached. Again, some crazy ones, some more conservative, some more liberal. This top 10 list is, if you look in the top left, I literally it was kind of, again, some leading conspiracy theories, some like crazy ones, right? And I just kind of went through it in class. I had to find something to at least get students started. I had them, went through those 10, like, hey, write down 2 of them that you think are interesting or just crazy or whacked out or you really think are true, whatever. And there's other sources, I said you can use them. It's just, I found that sometimes if you don't give students a few sources to use, they just kind of sit there and be like, I don't know where to go. Use the internet. So it's a good start. That's why I included these, which I've taken a lot of flack for including some of these, but I don't really care, whatever. The video in the upper right-hand corner actually showed part of that in class to introduce a lot of this, and that is actually a very left liberal leaning, I think it's CNBC that talked about it. And so that would kind of debunk a lot of it, showing that particular video. The one on the bottom left, COVID death count is inflated, changed by mine, Stephen Crowder. That's more of a conservative leaning video, and showed that one on another date. Not all of it, but I think like the first half of it roughly is what we did. And so, and actually, ironically enough, at the end of this, most students found that that one seemed to be the most logical for whatever reason. So, and a lot of students did learn some stuff. But anyways, and so back to the point here, looking through all these, I could find more than just those 10. They weren't limited to that. It was just to get them started. I said, what evidence supporting or negating did you find that supports the claim about each particular theory? Bring your findings with you to class during the next in-person day. Be prepared to discuss the results of your investigation with the class. Again, and then below for A students and B students, it's goofy. We split the classes up for virtual coronavirus stuff, whatever. Schedule got changed up. Again, you can read that. So I thought this would be very interesting when we discuss the results in class. I asked each student, hey, share one that something you found that was interesting, whatever that may be, negating, supporting, and just kind of went around the room. Different classes had different conversations around that. Again, the thing that most students found to be that got brought up the most, honestly, was how many of them believe, I don't say believe, but they found there were some discrepancies with the reporting of the CDC numbers. I remember one student, they found some examples, and I would back this up because I found this myself, is that, and this is true, the CDC has actually since changed these numbers twice since originally coming out with them. But I mean, people that they died in a motorcycle accident, like dead, or crashed into a tree in a snowmobile accident. Pretty clear the cause of death, yet in their autopsy it's labeled as coronavirus death, COVID-19 death, died with COVID, died of COVID. Again, there's a lot of weird stuff. And so that one, a lot of students I thought did learn something. Some of the other crazier ones, if they wanted to believe them, cool. If they didn't, cool. Let them figure it out. But I at least wanted students just to kind of look into this sort of stuff. So, again, if I'm pushing anything, you're whacked out, dude. Whatever. it's just frustrating that I have to do this. Now, in the conclusion, this is part of this report too. This is what the attorney says. That I should be extremely cognizant of how particular topics and lessons in the classroom may impact students both emotionally and socially. Yeah, I was. I know I even had a student where his grandmother passed away from COVID. Talked to him personally. Had him, the year before, and asked him if it was okay if this could be brought up, and he was yes, and we communicated in that. So I was aware of that. For anyone who is wondering, for instance, the coronavirus pandemic has impacted people in many different ways. I get it. The jobs. I brought all of this stuff up. Some people have had family members who have passed away. Right. Yep, brought that up in class. Or that was mentioned to me. Sorry, others have lost jobs. Yep, that happened in our school too. Did I refer to it as a big deal or it's not a big deal? No, I simply presented this information. Again, if they felt uncomfortable, I apologize that this topic was, I don't know, uneasy. It made them feel uncomfortable, but there's a lot of things that people are going to have to do in their lives that are uncomfortable. And quite honestly, that's just truth. So I don't think this was, there's any harm done in these discussions. The whole Asian American thing, the increased violence against them, again, brought that up in class. We, talked about some questions and compared that to, when I was younger, 9/11. Um, so I don't know. So, anyways, yeah, it's conclusion. Great conclusion. I addressed all that. Yay. So that's a different thing, but that's it for now. I just wanted to go through, talk about this sort of stuff. Hopefully, this makes it a little clearer. You have an idea of what happened. Um, again, these are different sources in there. This one that, again, Scott Williams really went through all these and just dug into everything. And oh my goodness, what is QAnon? I'm pushing QAnon. No, this was the QAnon, like, kind of crazy, wacky, whole conspiracy theory. And I said, yeah, that's a leading one right now at the time. I said, look into it. School just started in, what was it, September. Again, CDC information, some new stuff that just kind of got changed at the time. What people were believing, the media bias. I think as juniors, a lot of people understood with, looking into these different resources. Hey, what's left leaning? What's right leaning? What's more liberal? What's conservative? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you're supposed to do. Scott Williams bashes me for that, or puts it in his article. And good Lord, dude, get a real job. So yeah, that's that. If you got any questions, throw them down in the comments. Other than that, that's it, guys. That's how I was totally, to go back to the beginning here of all of this stuff. Claim that I push COVID-19 conspiracy theories and indoctrinate students. I have my beliefs. Again, I don't want to tell you what to believe. You can figure that out for yourself. That's it. Have a good one.